Welcome to class 14 of a business environment. So today we'll start with the third chapter called political and legal environment. So introduction to the political and legal environment. So political and legal environment provides a framework within which the business is to function, and its existence depends upon the success with which it can face the various challenges constructed out of legal and political framework, which means political and legal factors are the environment and within which the business is to operate. So this political and legal environment will give you the framework saying how the business should work within or by complying with the political and legal conditions, and how the existence of it depends upon the success with which it can face the various challenges constructed out of legal and political framework. So which means in legal and political framework there are some challenges, and as a business you have to adjust with it. How successfully you are going to adjust and how successfully you are going to face various challenges will determine how successful you are. So political environment plays a very important role in regulation of business. This political environment majorly affect the way in which the business operates, but many a time it become an obstacle. Obstacle means a problem in the working of the business. The next is the political and legal environment meaning. Political environment. The political environment of country is influenced by the political organizations such as philosophy of political parties, ideology of government, or a party in power. So the political environment in respect to business environment includes all the rules and regulations, laws, and the role of government in day-to-day functioning of the organization. Legal environment is nothing but the flexibility and adaptability of law and other legal rules governing the business. So it may include the extent of ruling and decision of the court. So before that, how this political environment and the legal environment will have an impact on the business. So the viability of business depends on the ability with which it can meet the challenge arising out of the political and legal framework, so that I have told you in the previous slide. The political system prevailing in the country will promote, will shelter, will direct and control the business activities of the country. To ensure economic development of the country, the political system should be honest, stable, efficient and dynamic. So this system or the system must ensure political participation of people as well as personal security of the citizens. So every country will have its own political and legal environment. Companies must determine where, when and how to adjust their business practices without undermining the basis for the success. The next is institution of political environment. The first is your legislature. So what is this legislature? So legislature is the most powerful institution. The powers vested in the legislature are like policy making, law making, so getting the budget approval, executive control, and to act as a mirror of a public opinion. We call it as legislature and the power vested in the legislature. The next institution is your executive. Executive means the government is an executory body of the law which are framed by the legislature. So who is going to frame the body of the law? So the government is an executory body and it is framed by the legislature, and the role of government is to shape, direct and control the business activity. So what does this government do now? So the government is going to shape, direct and control the business activity. Indian constitution provides for the federal setup with powers being divided between the central and the state government. So government we are going to divide into two, state and central government, and the government role and the executory body of the laws is framed by the legislature, and it has given the role to shape, direct and control the business activity. Then the last is your judiciary. So what is this judiciary? So judiciary sees to it that exercise of authority by the executives is according to the general rules laid down by the legislature. So it sees that the authority of the executives who are there, so whether they are going to follow the rules which is laid down by the legislature. What the legislature does? Legislature is going to make the law, make the policy, make the executive control, so that it is going to approve the budget. So all this work is done by the legislature. Okay, so whether the executives who are there, whether they have followed or they are going to execute according to the general rules what is there in the legislature or not is been seen by the judiciary. So it is the power of the judiciary to settle legal disputes that affects the business considerably. The democracy of the country can die if any alter independent and quick to act judiciary is not there. The next is political factors that affects the business. So political factors which affects the business are, first is your political stability. What is this political stability? Whatever political scenario is there in the country, so that will affect the operation of the business. So no doubt in that. So if there is lack of political stability, stability means stable, not flexible, right? So lack of political stability, so there will be always split, okay, split and uneven working pattern, so that will be seen. So government keeps on imposing the restrictions in different sectors in which in turn affects the business on the large scale. So in simple, if we see political scenario or the political environment what is there, so that should be stable. So when it is not stable, it will affect the operation of business. Okay, so government what it does? So government is going to keep on imposing some restrictions in the different sectors. So what happens when the restrictions in the different sectors is been there? So in turn it will affect the business in the large scale. The next is taxation and economic policies. So taxation and economic policies. So tax system in the country, so directly impact the business operation. So you know that, right? So tax rate will vary from business to business and activity to activity. So therefore the role of government as a regulator here become very important. Okay, so government regulation on the tax control is very important, because vary of tax means when we are going to impose different tax to the different business or different activities, so that will affect the operation of business. So the economic policies of government like monetary policy, controls of the money supply in the economy, which in turn affects the working capital requirement of business on the day-to-day basis. So various components like your fiscal policy, monetary policy, tax laws, rules and notifications. So these are used by the government to affect the business activities directly and indirectly. The third is foreign trade regulations. So the expansionary policies of the management of the companies, so that enables the firms to operate on the global scale, where the role of the government comes into the picture. So here government sets various rules and regulations, so like exim policy, forex policy, etc., in order to enable the firm to function in international market. And as to keep on the competitiveness in the global market, the government of India follows the model code of conduct based on uncritical model in order to resolve the disputes that occur while operating the business globally. So now, how the government affects the business environment? There are huge variety of instruments so available with the government, with which it regulates the business environment. So such as many a times government itself starts producing economic goods, so like electricity and public transport service, in which in order to keep control and check on the practice of the private players. So here what happens, the government uses its taxation tools and subsidies in order to promote the production process. It provides subsidies and tax concession for the production of those goods to promote the social welfare, and higher taxes may be imposed on such goods like alcohol, cigarette, etc. So government frames and keeps on updating the labor laws of the country so as to keep a check on the injustice done to the working classes. The government of India has framed many regulations that keeps strict alert on the activities such as money laundering. So what is this money laundering? Money laundering is nothing but concealment of origins of illegal obtained money. So illegally whatever money is been obtained, the origin of that is been hidden. Okay, so strict alert on these activity and the investment of the companies in tax haven. So here tax haven means independent area where the tax is levied at the lower rate. Thus, the role of government and its policies play a very decisive role in the business environment. So, of an economy, the policies of government are either promotive or restrictive. So, when it becomes promotive, when the government brings out various schemes to promote small business and enterprises, so it lowers down the interest on the loan taken by the smaller farmers so as to boost the agricultural sector and small enterprises. So in case when it becomes restrictive policy, when the government is going to impose the ban on the practice of various players in the market, so which may be detrimental to the society as a whole, like ban of plastic bags, etc. Thank you.